Papa, what are we doing here? We have a fight coming up this weekend at welterweight between Ramiz Brahimaj coming out of Fortis MMA on the wrong side of a decision his last time out. That was back in January against Court McGee, where the Crusher just continued to pressure and work the cardio of Ramiz Brahimaj till I thought he was going to give up, but he didn't. And now we have Micheal Gillmore coming in here. He's 6-4 as a pro, losing his last two bouts. One of them, it's on the Ultimate Fighter, so does it really count? But if you look at it in his last fight, he comes in on short notice. He takes on Andre Petrosyan. He had a good second round.
He did.
I can say that. But in the first round, in the third round, Gillmore was absolutely held down. And I mean, for Petrosyan, he comes in with a huge college wrestling background. And he either wins in the first round or gets beat in the second round due to exhaustion. And oddly enough, in his last two fights, the one against Gillmore, and then when he took on Jinh, UFC zone, he was 3-2 in that fight.
Heavyweight.
He was able to get a nice win in the third round and a nice win in the third round against Gillmore. But again, the references don't really stop here because I look at this one, I don't know what you're feeling about this one, B, but overall, it really is a buy low, sell low opportunity on both of these guys.
So this is what I guess I just get to poke fun at. You were a fan of Ramiz Brahimaj at one point, but he has not been good in the UFC whatsoever.
Now let me defend the point. But back in 2018, Ramiz Brahimaj at the time was undefeated. Every win was by submission. They were all very quick. And then since then, he's alternated wins and losses on a Charles Rosa or Randa Marcos-esque streak in his last 8 fights. Now he lost the last fight, so he's going to win this fight. If you want to play that game. But that game's stupid. But the craziest part is, Matt, cardio abandoned him. Now we're going to fight a month later? What?
If you lose to Court McGee, you just don't do it for me. That's just what I'm going to say from here on out. Because if you lose to here's the thing about Court McGee. If you knock him out and you win the fight. We've seen that happen a few times now. Twice, exactly. He doesn't lose that often. But if you lose to him, he's probably going to eat your big shots, out-wrestle you, and it's going to be a really close fight in the decision. Ramiz Brahimaj got dropped by Court McGee. That's a thing that happened in their fight. And that's a very concerning thing for me. Because for Brahimaj, I just don't think he's going to be able to strike very much with Gillmore whatsoever. And on the flip side, Gillmore can't grapple with Ramiz in this fight. So again, this is why I sort of zag when you say this is a card you should give to your friends who haven't really watched MMA, because they can get it on the ground level, follow some of these prospects up. The worst version of this fight is Gillmore might have a little bit of success in the feet. Brahimaj takes him down with like 3 minutes left in the first round, works for a submission that he never gets, and then you get two of the most tired fighters you've ever seen for another 10 minutes.
So this one's tricky because, again, it's hard to get excited for a guy that's 6-4. It's hard to get excited for a guy that's 9-4. And in the UFC, for Ramiz Brahimaj, he got outstruck by Max Griffin. Max Griffin's a hell of a striker and a good boxer. Hands. But his ear gets flopped off, and then he goes out there and he submits Sasha Plotnikov very quickly. So it lends credence to, okay, Ramiz, I'm a first-round submission artist. And then...
Wait, to quote Smash Mouth, were you a believer after that fight?
I'd go with the Monkeys version, but I was always a believer, so unfortunately I'm still here.
No doubt in your mind.
And then that loss to Court McGee. So I really had to go through and look at this fight this way. I had to break down the X's and O's for both guys, because for Ramiz, he was a big-time hitter over with LFA. And I mean, that's the big thing. That's my first part of my notes. Chuck's leather. He throws tons of power on the feet, and it's worked for him in the past where I go just swinging in, drop the guy, take him down, submit him, and it goes out to, all the different highlight reels. But a consequence of that is cardio is not great, and it's been a kind of a constant throughout his career. It's not just the Max Griffin fight. It's not just the Court McGee fight. It's all the fights, because he finishes them quick if he wins. He has 9 wins. All of them are by submission. Again, he is a lights-out offensive grappler. But defensively, he has some holes. And then another one that I have in here, again, gas tank and in-fight adjustments. Those are the two big keys, because when it starts to go bad for Ramiz, we're down bad. And that really is the kicker. So this fight, it is a bit of a short notice. We were supposed to have the mullet king, the man himself, Johnny Parsons, making his UFC debut. And Gillmore was supposed to get that fight. But Parsons out, Brahimaj in. For Gillmore, they brought him in. He was an alternate on the Ultimate Fighter. So they bring him in and he fights Gilbert Urbina. And he gets knocked out. And then Andre Petrosyan's looking for a dance partner in the UFC. He maybe he was going to fight Brian Battle on short notice, but no, Gilbert Urbina gets that fight. So Andre Petrosyan gets Micheal Gillmore. And here's my question to the UFC. That's a UFC fight. It's not an Ultimate Fighter fight. Why do they make them wear Ultimate Fighter trunks? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. It's so Mickey Mouse. Don't do that. But overall, for Micheal Gillmore, 8-2 amateur record from 2015 back to 2012. A win by decision over Chaos Williams. His training partner now, Murcielago MMA. I mean, Joaquin Buckley's at that gym. Commander Dale Brown is adjacent. Hey, winning coach in the UFC.
You've never done that, Craig.
I have not. But really, when I do look at this, Micheal Gillmore looked like his body type fit 185 pounds. He's fought at 170 before, don't get me wrong. I'm eager to see what he looks at 170 for this fight. And the other note that I have, I mean, he got taken down and controlled by Petrosyan, but as I said earlier, in the second round of his fight against Petrosyan, he looked amazing. He was starting to throw at range, and he looked really, really good, backing Petrosyan up, and Petrosyan was eating shots.
And I think it's fair to say, though, Petrosyan is a much better pure wrestler than Ramiz Brahimaj. Now, once it gets to the grappling aspect, I would definitely favor Brahimaj with his ability to finish the submissions on the mat, but that's my problem. Like, for where the odds are, and I don't normally say this, I think this is an awful fight to bet on, because here's the thing. For Ramiz, his striking defense is an absolute zero. Like, blocking punches with your face doesn't count. That's not the objective of the sport. It's to move out of the way. But against a guy like Gillmore, it only takes one or two combinations to really hurt someone like Ramiz Brahimaj. And I can easily see Gillmore landing something big early, hurting Ramiz, and Ramiz just never really being able to recover early on in the fight, and Gillmore ends up winning via TKO. But the flip side is, Brahimaj could go out there looking like the second coming of Damian Maia. But the problem is, and I think you'd agree with this, I don't think the result of this fight really changes either guy's destiny. Like, if Ramiz Brahimaj beats Micheal Gillmore, if you're a fan of his or not coming into the UFC, I don't really think that's going to all of a sudden make you think, wow, he's destined for the top 15. And the same thing vice versa. Like, if Gilmore's able to knock out Ramiz in the first round, I just think it speaks more to the questions that we had around Ramiz Brahimaj more than anything. So I still think this fight does very much for either guy in their careers.
Well, and the weirdest part about this one, Ramiz Brahimaj on the limited sites that have odds on this one, open at -400. He's about a -300 for Gillmore. Open to +330. He's a +243. If we have a look at Tapology, surprised us as it is to you. 409 total votes, 92% Brahimaj, 70% by submission for the 8% that have Gillmore, 64% by decision, 24% by knockout. I do feel weird about this fight because, okay, I'll ask you this. Johnny Parsons, Gillmore, who would you favor to win that fight?
Gillmore definitely has a better chance in that fight, I'd say. But here's the thing. In this one, probably Parsons, yeah.
Yeah, Johnny Parsons would have won that fight. So when I look at this one, I mean, Gillmore is going to go up against Parsons, who has friggin' bombs in his hands. Yes. He can take you down. Like, Johnny Parsons is an interesting cat, I'll say that. For Ramiz Brahimaj, I hate to pick him. I'm picking him. I think he's going to be able to get the win because I don't like Micheal Gillmore's takedown defense, and I don't like the fact that when he gets his back to the mat, it's a lot of time with his back to the mat. So for me, I'm going with Ramiz Brahimaj in this one. But listen, if you were thinking of anchoring a parlay with Ramiz Brahimaj, you're insane. You're insane.
I don't want to pick Ramiz, Craig, but I'm probably going to. I'll pick Brahimaj, but this fight is so one way or the other. Either Gillmore wins because he looks like, I don't know, Jean-Claude Van Damme in the first round.
Go watch that second round of the Petrosyan fight. I can't stress that enough.
Or Brahimaj chokes him unconscious and he looks really, really good. I'll favor the grappler in this matchup, but again, I don't think it's going to change my opinion no matter what the result is of this fight.
Yeah, one last mark on Micheal Gillmore. Coming into the UFC, he had an interesting record, and of his 6 wins, his combined opponent's record was 8-9. That's not very good. Both of us going with Texas' own Ramiz Brahimaj in this fight. You let us know down below in the comment section who you have, because I know a lot of people, like I said earlier, it's buy low and sell low, and they're going to be very low on both of these fighters. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, and as we always say, let's get into it.